Good evening. You're listening to the Xtreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you from the Pine Hills Palace, just west of Orlando, Florida. I have here on the SAT feed from the Xtreme Studios, the young 20-something Professor Pixel. Tonight, we're going to be continuing on our Xtreme TV review of Season 1 of Mission Impossible. In tonight's episodes 19 and 20, we have Diamonds, aka that darn cat, aka oh my god, OMFG Pixel. They gassed that fucking cat. And then episode 20, hey, another recycled episode from about four episodes ago, where we've got Nazis. I actually like these two episodes, Pixel, and I know, despite the fact that I always like to comment on how you've seen 1,225 episodes of the original Dark Shadows, when we decided to do a little retro show and pick Mission Impossible, I really thought we'd get a great variety of topical fare. And in my opinion, right now, we're not. We've still got about another month to go of doing 2 episodes of 28 episodes of Season 1. And we've talked about some of the patterns where, we get 2 great openings here in episodes 19 and 20, where we get the swing singles, bachelor pad, and everything else there. So I'm liking this a lot. And of course, we get the same setup of not everybody's in every episode, but you kind of get that a little bit here. But yeah, it seems like there's probably just 3 episodes of Mission Impossible, and they just changed 1 or 2 variables around because, again, we're back to Nazis and diamonds. But how they do it here is kind of cool. These are kind of fun, particularly episode 19 with the diamond. It was really over the top and definitely a period piece. I can't wait to dive into that here in just a moment, but not until I've heard your initial reactions on these 2 episodes.
So, initial takes. I really, really liked these episodes. 19 actually a little less than 20, but okay. When we get into details, I'll talk about that. As for 19, the diamond, that was the hardest episode for me to get through. It's good. It's very good, but every time I tried to watch it, I fell asleep. But finally today, sat down, went ahead. I had my laptop ready because that's what I decided to watch it on. Just go ahead and set it up and lean back in my chair, watch, and I didn't fall asleep this time. And it's a lot of fun.
It is. There's good performances in here too.
Yeah. Basically, what they have to do is they're trying to get this one raw diamond that. Pardon me. Sorry, choking.
That was not raw, sir. My goodness, choke on it.
Diamond from a what was it? A West African official, something like that.
A third world African country that shall not be named.
Dun dun dun. And it's the world's largest uncut diamond, and it's going to be used to finance the campaign to.
Breathe.
Yeah, sorry. Just it's been. I swallowed a hot pepper right before you hit live, and then it just hit me in the back of my throat, and I just had to be quiet throughout it all. But to use this towards campaign, so Cinnamon goes ahead and she gets on the duds, and she says that she has a mutual friend who is interested in the diamond. This leads them to go ahead and trying to make a deal in which they have their special guest star who is a master. What's the term?
I don't know what you're seeking.
Yeah, he specializes in cutting diamonds.
Well,
I know
when you have a diamond, well, the fence is the go-between, but the guy that actually cuts the diamonds is just like a cutter. I mean, I don't know if you're thinking like that, because the cutting of the diamond is what gives us its value. And people say, oh no, it's the size of it and all that. No, it's how well you're able to cut it into how many good stones and of what level of quality that you want to do that. So, the thing about him is he's supposed to be the heavy. He's this Dutch dude that always reminds you of somebody else that you've seen before, but he's very good in this role. And like with him and Cinnamon discussing the whole diamonds on the couch with the cat kind of getting in between them or whatever like that, I'm like, okay. And then Cat ends up playing a bigger role in that, but he has his group of people with him kind of helping him out. And so we get this idea that Cinnamon and her group are supposedly going to have this quote unquote way of synthesizing diamonds, carbon, high pressure, whatever, man-made, And so, of course, if you do that to an industry like diamonds that has pretty much a finite quantity of them, you, of course, drop the value that can flood the market when you synthesize something. So the whole economics of the situation is that, again, like you're mentioning, the campaign he's trying to run here for nefarious purposes, for malfeasance, let's say, he needs a lot of money, and he just happens to have the biggest friggin' stone here. I mean, this is like, I mean, this thing's a nice chunk. If you see it, it's like, holy crap. And so you get that this guy means business, and he's very, how do I say it? He's not born like some of the Nazi generals we're going to talk about in a moment, but he's just very composed. It's like, he knows what he's doing and all that. He didn't come across too evil to me, but I thought he did a very good job.
Yeah, no, I agree. I enjoyed the chase for this diamond, because when Cinnamon goes up, the first thing he says, "Oh well, I have a friend, and they basically want to go ahead and put a lock on it. They want the diamond. They don't want it to go to auction like he's planning. For what, $500,000. And whenever he learns that, okay, well, I can synthesize it, go ahead, it goes to this facility at the end where they destroy him. They certainly end his campaign. And then there.
Yeah.
Usually we have a chase sequence like out, and they leave and they're trying to get away from the scene, because if they get caught, the government's not going to back them. But here they're kind of doing it because they might explode.
Yeah, that's the ticking time bomb element that we sometimes get in some hears when they're at it. Yeah, what was interesting to me about this episode that may have put you to sleep, but I found it actually engrossing, is that on the horrible 60s and 70s orange, not quite shag carpeting, we get a guy that's watching a diamond, and so he's in the middle of his bed, and of course, he's somewhat calorically challenged by those the 1960s standards, so he's a bit of a snorer. But the whole idea is Willie and Barney get a chance to work together as a tag team, because they never get to work with Cinnamon. Oh no, that's Raleigh's babe. So what they're doing is they're in the other room, right, and they go through the electrical outlet to try to snatch the diamond and do some chicanery with it. And so they got this really, really long extendable claw, which there's no way in hell this would ever work, and we don't care. But the idea that they're trying in a TV show, this is ridiculous. And the stupid cat that we saw before kind of gets involved there, and just kind of is like, how cats are, just curious about what the hell's going on, sticks his head in the hole, won't let him alone. So they gas him. I'm like, what the fuck? I thought that was kind of cool. It's like, slip him a Mickey or whatever. And it's cheesy, but it was done well enough where you're like, for a good 5 minutes, you're watching going, man, this is engrossing TV. Nobody has to talk. You just see them sweating. Of course, everybody wears suits in these episodes. That's a cool thing about 60s TV. But yeah, it's kind of like, man, that was your chase that you would normally get. I know kind of here, we have the explosion maybe at the end and all that before they leave. And of course we roll credits, but I thought that was a highlight of it too. At first I thought it was going to be Cinnamon and all that, but no. And it's not a bad episode, but again, it's another episode like many others before, where somebody from Kerplakistans got a way to get some dinero to do something bad. They never really explain what it is. They're just told on the tape, stop it. And here we are. I mean, it's simple. It's too simple, really, but I don't mind.
Yeah, no. Pardon me. Yeah, I enjoyed most of that. The claw scene is pretty much what did me in every time.
You don't like that?
I don't think the music was strong enough in this episode to keep me like zoned in on it. It was just me staring at the world's longest claw game.
The fact that you're a young 20-something makes me, question your ability to focus more than, 5 seconds of a TikTok video or Instagram posting, because you're right. This is a very long sequence here that is really the, if they're storyboarding episode, they're like, yeah, we're going to have this scene where we're going to take the claw out, we're going to get the diamond, and we're going to do this little thing, we're going to gas the cat, and everyone's going to sweat, and it's going to be the highlight of the show, because you can tell they built it around it, right? So that's why I was curious. Oh, did he not really like this episode because of this, or in spite of it. And so to me, I like it because of this. And it sounds like you didn't like it as much because of it.
Yeah, no, it's just it kind of took me out of the drama around the diamond itself. But the next episode, speaking of drama, oh my goodness, the legend. Dan, our leading man, has to go ahead and impersonate an old Nazi that spent the last 20 years in prison. His daughter's supposed to be picking him up, going ahead and letting him out, because he's being called by a mysterious benefactor. And impersonating this Nazi, Cinnamon as his daughter, they go ahead down to Puerto Rico, something like that.
But it's Brazil, I believe, isn't it?
Is it Brazil?
South America. That's where a lot of Nazis went. When the ones that we didn't take and put in our universities and government agencies, they were down in Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil is where it was. My apologies. But they go ahead and they meet this younger main Nazi. Do you know the actor for him?
Not off the top of my head, no.
No? Okay. But they go ahead, they meet the big Nazi who is supposed to be working for a legendary Nazi general. And they want to create the Fourth Reich. It's a plot we've heard before, but when done well, so much fun. And the legend himself is being kept in bed behind a curtain, and you can hear his voice in the distance, and his sidekick is basically going ahead and having conversations with him, saying that, okay, I am speaking for him. It's all from the legend. You want to listen to me. And Cinnamon and Dan, while dressed up as this old man, going around and sneaking, they're able to go ahead and snuff out that this legend is actually a doll, a mannequin being kept in the bed behind a curtain so they can't tell. They have tapes that have labels on them to go ahead and speeches that this man's already prepared. And they go from there. Cinnamon is able to kind of try to use her wiles on him. But he's a little too focused on being a Nazi to go ahead and take notice. And that's when Martin Landau has to come in.
I didn't know what to make of the as you call it, doll scene, because I'm like, is that really going to be Hitler? Get out of here! No way. Is that really going to be like number two? I don't know. But again, you see here in the late '60s, there's no problems with them pulling up footage of World War II type events, or even before that, with propaganda stuff, which I think is cool. It adds era authenticity to it, or whatever. And the fact that this was very loosely based on what happened historically, with Nazis propagating their agenda all across the world, even though they got the hammer put to them literally in World War II. I didn't know what they were going to do with it, but I definitely wanted to mention this. Not all episodes have everybody in it. So this one, I don't believe Willie's in it. So you get a little bit of Barney, but I want to talk about Dan, the main dude, because I like it when he's like the master, where he gets some nice, well, like in this one here, he gets his little thing in the elevator right at the beginning. Okay, that was different. That was kind of cool. Like the last episode is when was FDR or something. He was looking for, I think, was it stamps? And so I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool. And so here I'm like, okay, I'm the most excited to see how it's going to be different, where he gets his assignment from. And so he gets it, but being a part of it was a little different. And I thought he did a good job, because we're so used to him, for the most part, just kind of being the architect of the plan and letting people do the things and taking a step back. But the fact that he was in here and he has that outfit on, you're like, oh my God, if you saw pictures of the actor when he's actually older, this Nazi kind of almost looks like him, the way he dressed up too. But it makes me want to point out Cinnamon a little bit, because even though I like the whole thing with Daniel in here, Cinnamon, I was really popping on your praises for using your feminine charms in a rather classy sort of way. But, I'm not taking points off because you're not in every episode, but, you've kind of flopped here in a few episodes lately. You're going to have to up your game here, Cinnamon. I know what it is, because, even her with her really bad German accent here, it just almost wasn't convincing. It's like she has to be that lady at the end of the bar dressed up or whatever, like that doesn't have to talk too much, because the other parts of it, I'm not buying. And I'm hoping that she can display a bit more depth to her character rather than just, flash the eyelids at somebody and smile, and that's it, because it's too limited. And we've talked about Roland having all this ability to do all these different things. We see Dan in this episode and some stuff be a little different. And even though Barney's kind of one note ish, he's had a little bit, he has a great dick looking face on him when he gets pissed, and when he's really concentrating. It's a hard face, and there's something you can do with that. Whereas Willie's just like the muscle head, and so him and Cinnamon are really kind of trailing, I think, a lot here, because frankly we don't need them. I mean, it's nice that they're there, and it's nice that we have these combinations, but in here I was really impressed by the Dan show here. And the doll thing, I find it hard to believe that they could use that as kind of like propping somebody up, literally. But it's like, I get it. I don't have a problem with it. It felt a little flat to me, which is why I like this episode a little less than the last one. And I know you said that you like this one a little bit more. The ending was kind of cool. I mean, I'll let you finish that up.
Yeah. Basically, they go ahead. Martin Landau, halfway through, appears. He was in on the mission all along, but he appears fully and gets in on the mission. He goes ahead. He sees the doll, and he goes ahead and makes himself in the likeness of it. And he comes out with a cane and shocks number 2 because I'll take the mission now. No, what are you doing? No, it's fine. It's fine. Go. You've worked too hard. Rest. And this guy feels like for 1 second he's going crazy, but then he's able to see the mannequin that he's left in bed.
Oh my God.
After that, he knows, okay, I'm not crazy. I haven't actually been serving. Him. And Martin Landau is able to fake fake this guy shooting him through Cinnamon, which actually why Cinnamon was important to go and say, oh, I'm in on this. I understand. I believe you. To lead him into shooting Martin Landau. Fake shooting, but still. And because of this, we get this scene of number 2, and he's cowering. He's like, no, you don't understand. He was an imposter. It was me all along. We could do this. You just have to follow me. As they are already getting out into the van via the guards, and they are driving away, as you just hear a scream as these old men, these old Nazis, are approaching the young hotshot who thought he could have it all.
And he's standing there, and he's losing. And this is the best part where he's like, "Let me be your Führer. Let me be your Führer." and it's like, we don't need to see anything more. This is plenty. I mean, that's this again. This is like one of the other episodes from a few weeks ago on season 1 here too, where the guy had the switcheroo in the vault or whatever. Like, come on, it was obvious that's what happened. It was the one that has Kolchak's boss in it or whatever, and then I think the mafia guys get him or whatever down in the wine cellar. I mean, it's the same friggin' story. It's the same ending. It's like, God, it's so recycled, but if you add enough to it, it can be engaging enough, which is what I'm thinking you're saying about this episode.
Yeah, it basically is that. I mean, they haven't missed with the Nazi episode. They take down the Nazis very well.
Yeah, it's like they take it to just another level, and they don't say anything about how great America is. There's no patriotism angle going on in any of these episodes. It's just understood that, oh, it's Nazis, we're going to get them. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty apparent. Overall, I think a pretty good, solid 2 episodes here. I know we've had some that have been kind of hit or miss, but generally, doing 2 at a time, we compare them, and that might be a little unfair. But again, the patterns that we've talked about from since about maybe episode 5 or 6 is there, where we don't always get everybody. We're trained to kind of opening gambit wise look to see where they're going to be getting the mission and who's going to be a part of it, because we don't know. We do know that in future seasons they're going to have some different cast members and stuff too. But overall, for like I say, late night TV for an hour, it's entertaining enough. You're not overdosed on dialogue, but what dialogue is there is pretty sharp with stuff. And again, the show, you're going back 55 years. I mean, this is an older show, but some of the people that are a little bit older can remember some stuff about World War II and all that growing up. Like I can. It has a certain feel to it, where someone your age, I don't know how you look at it, just generally speaking from a historical perspective.
Well, I mean, I had my grandfather who loved to tell me about his time serving the military, and when he goes ahead and he tells me, like, war stories are like his favorite thing. So I have a personal connection to that, especially losing him recently, not to bring the show down. So going ahead and just seeing some Nazi bastards get their just desserts makes me feel good. But I did want to say something. You touched on something earlier. Yes, you noticed in the opening, and I think it was episode 20, this tape will destroy itself in the next 10 seconds. It didn't ask him to go ahead and do the destroying. It destroys itself now.
Yeah. And I thought, God, if you ever do a prequel show, it's got to be about the guy that comes up with all these friggin' ways, a think tank of how to, well, how can we get the information to them this way? Because that seems to be more elaborate than the cons or the things that they're having to do. Because occasionally they end up erupting a little bit of violence or some light gunplay. And again, when you don't have to do too much of that, you can just have a car chasing and all that with some stock footage, and you're good to go. So that's why when you have these cheap, easy to produce scenes like the gassing the cat kind of diamond scene, it can be engaging. You just can't just automatically assume it's going to be. You can make that stuff a little boring, I suppose, but I think it definitely worked here. Like you said, every fourth episode or so have Nazis in it, and maybe every fourth episode is going to be some third world country jerk trying to flex. I mean, because that's really the two types that really stand out a lot, and and I think we've had a couple. Again, also warlike, people wanting to jump back over to the good side or to defect or whatever. And we've got to help out. So maybe one every 6 episodes of that. I mean, and that's a good chunk of them right there. That's immediately what comes to mind with these. But yeah, overall, not too bad. Do you think we're going to have anything different in the last 8 episodes we're going to cover?
Probably not. But it's hard for me to complain, because even though it is pretty much the same things over and over again, it doesn't fall into the sin of, say, The Prisoner, because it's actually interesting.
Well, the sin of The Prisoner is again, going back to the original episodes that they filmed to be a part of the story. 6 to 8 of them are fantastic, but then there's 6 to 8 of them that they've got are complete filler. And
Yeah.
we talked extensively about how that was very noticeable, because you're right, those 6 are like filler and they just don't need to be there, and it brings the rest of the show down. Not that they're necessarily bad episodes, but they're nothing compared to masterpieces that the other episodes are. And when you're trying to tell a story, then you have some filler to it, you do yourselves a bit of disservice with it. And I will agree with you. Now, there's no way in hell Mission Impossible is more entertaining than The Prisoner, but you make a point in that there are episodes of The Prisoner that we don't need. And again, we watched them in a certain order. Some of the broadcast orders were different, whether it was over, I think, in Britain, here in the United States, or in Europe. So not all episodes were shown either, and we went ahead to do all of them. So it's interesting that you said, because let's be honest, when you got 28 episodes in season 1, that's a hell of a long season. That's like 2 or 3 seasons, or even 4 for some shows today. You're gonna have a lot of stuff kind of be a duplicate, really. I mean, it's going to be very rare that you have 28 really great individual episodes, and right now we have not seen any real big meta themes connecting the episodes at all. You could watch these pretty much out of any order. There's nothing wrong with that. It's pretty flexible. So I would agree with you on that. In that, we sometimes forget the sheer volume, the output that this show is producing on a weekly basis that, you have to keep in mind when doing it, as opposed to something small like The Prisoner with a one-shot deal. Any other final thoughts?
I am just looking forward to, and I don't mean this in a negative way towards the show. I'm looking forward to getting to the end. Just because, we've been doing this a while. It's not stale. Each of these episodes are still entertaining, but it'll be nice to spice things up.
Well, what I'm curious about is, again, like I've been saying before, are they going to keep doing it exactly the same? Because I'm expecting that. Or are they going to try to tie something up here with like a little bit of a story arc like you sometimes do to bring it into season 2 and end on a cliffhanger? I have no idea, honestly. So I know Leonard Nimoy pops up, and I don't know if it's in season 2 or later seasons. I don't know if everybody in this season stays in future seasons. I really have no idea what to expect here. And when we do these shows, we don't really actually research them because we want it to be kind of a fresh watch, especially if it's a first watch. And so I'm like you, I'm curious to see what happens here over the next 3 to 4 ways that we go about taking a look at them here. Another month or so will be done. All right, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Season 1, episodes 19 and 20 of the original Mission Impossible TV show. Good. Check them out. If you got any requests here of shows in the future you'd like us to take a look at, let us know. We've done a lot of short ones. We've wanted to do a long one here to see how it would go. We're pretty much open to that. I'm looking forward to seeing what our next session is going to be in the ring in 2024 here. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Listen, have a good night, and as always, stay extreme. This has not been a Quinn Martin production,
nor a Dan Curtis production.